Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to No Fluff with Omaima Sheikh. हमारे आज के गेस्ट जो हैं वो एक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर हैं. यस राइट, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर. ही इज अ वैल्यू डिलीवरी कोच, स्पीकर, customer experience manager, philanthropist and a dad. Assalamu alaikum, Umayr Khan. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, life is good, and hopefully Allah keeps it this way. Whichever way He's going to keep it, we're going to say Alhamdulillah. So, yeah, no problems. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Okay, problem solver, right?
I try to, yes,
Okay,
I
okay,
try
okay.
to.
Hang on. I got an extension question. Well, you are a problem solver within an ecosystem that thrives via teamwork, collaboration, and efficient systems, right?
Mhm.
Um, but कोई ऐसा software है that comes with the package and that's customizable on every other day basis, which tells you exactly how to raise teenage boys. Correction, Muslim teenage boys in the West. So many
Oh
variables.
man, you hit a nerve there.
Yeah.
The only software that I can think of is the software that once was a teenage Muslim boy and now it has been upgraded to a Muslim adult parent, adult
Okay.
father.
Okay.
So that really, I believe, is the only thing by virtue of experience that can be utilized. Everything else is outside of what we call empirical evidence circle. So
Okay.
that would be my very short answer to this.
Okay. I'll let you explain furthermore on it. But how common it is for parents, especially from our diaspora, जो कि पाकिस्तानी ओरिजिन के होते हैं, दे गो अब्रॉड. सम लोग, कुछ लोग जो हैं वो ऑलरेडी बाहर रहते हैं, उनकी फैमिलीज कुछ जो हैं वो नई नई जाती हैं. कुछ लोग जो हैं दे वर्क देयर, दे गेट मैरिड, बच्चे होते हैं, they raise their children, life goes on, life is so fast and it goes on, but all of a sudden they wake up and like, oops, now they are fathers or parents to a teenage boy or a girl, and they don't really know that much what's happening, what their teenager is really into, या वो जिस environment में है probably. जिस तरह आप कह रहे हैं कि by evidence by experience, हमारा experience थोड़ा different था, और चूंकि इतनी ज्यादा advancements हो गई हैं, चीजें change हो रही हैं, so probably we don't have first hand experience of that thing, that community. So, how common it is, this problem and waking up all of a sudden and just realizing.
It is massive. I
Okay.
would say it's more of a challenge. If we let it get beyond the challenge part, where we don't start to intentionally evolve, intentionally get better, intentionally respond to the needs of the day, the needs of the times, then it becomes a problem. Like so many times we talk, you referenced value delivery and everything. So many times we talk about dependencies, and if a dependency is not taken care of, then it becomes a risk. So same thing, if we apply here, if you see a challenge, if you see a situation and you don't try to mend yourself, your ways according to it, according to the times, and of course, the person you're dealing with, the problem itself, quote unquote, then yes, it will become a massive challenge and a bigger problem going forward because one, before being a parent, I have no idea what the hell people are talking about. And I used to be that way. People would be
What's the big
talking to
deal?
me.
What's the big deal? You know?
What's the big deal? It's just a kid.
Yeah.
No, maybe to you it's just a kid, but unless and until you become a parent, I mean, you cannot realize. And I have been there on both sides of the spectrum. And as soon as I became a parent, that switch just flipped, and I realized. So it is on a daily basis, it is a learning experience, and no matter how much you learn, you are always humbled the very next day or the very next instance that, oh, no, you don't know anything because boom, here's another question coming your way.
Yeah. And Umair, it's so strange that, हमें लगता था कि शायद, we know things and our parents don't. Then, the same thing is happening to us now. Like our children almost think the same way our dad mom doesn't know anything. So how mindful are you about around the places where your kids are, like in schools and in I don't know if you guys have academies over there or any different clubs that the children go to, how mindful you
Mhm.
are about what's happening in their vicinity?
So I smile because two ways I'm going to answer this. One is so many times, early days of my parenthood, I'd be like, no, 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 this is how I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to run my ship. I'm the captain of the ship, and
How
I'm
early?
going to
How early?
I'm going to
We're
sort
talking
it out.
about
We're
how many
talking, I
months?
mean, right off the bat, because I've been a believer of instilling behaviors as early as possible. I wouldn't even speak with my kids when they were babies, few days old, like a baby. I started
Mm.
talking to them like I was speaking with you right now, like I was
Oh,
speaking to an adult. That
okay.
has been the mode of communication that I try to have. So,
Mm.
jumping forward, uh, I wanted to have a certain way of things. But then, as I said, nature and life and kids, they humbled me along the way. And I had to really change the ways I was going about it because the software version that I had that was installed in me, that was 30 years old. And I had to really take a very good look at the hardware that I was working with or the environment that I was working with, not just outside of Pakistan, but there's
Mm.
so many different social, cultural, economic, uh, psychological aspects of living in the West. So I had to really mend my ways. And then the second part of that question that made me smile was, and this started recently. My elder one, he's going to be going to ninth grade.
Mm.
So about a year ago, I started paying attention, or something happened where he did something, where he said something, and I was about to say something. And then I realized, okay, think of yourself. You were in eighth grade once. What did you do when you were his age? And I literally went back in time. I could see myself up until right after third, fourth grade. I've got very vivid memories. So I was able to place myself there, and I just had a smile on my face. And I was like, you know what? This is normal. Well, yes, we are 30 years difference, but what he's doing, it is absolutely normal. So I just smiled, and he was like, what happened? Why are you smiling? I was like, well, you really want to know? So I told him, and I was like, you're weird, man. So that's really how it is. You've got to, on a daily basis, you've got to be on top of it because one, things do change, but things always come back. The circle just keeps going on.
Yeah, the evolution's happening the same way. But the
Yep.
variables have changed so much. Like, remember when we were discussing about once upon a time, because we had to cancel so many times about the recording. But we were discussing about this a series that recently aired, I think a couple of months back, and it was a massive hit because of the way it was shot and without any editing and zero edits. Adolescents. Did you get to see the series? It's just
I
four
started, but
parts.
I didn't really get too
Oh
far
God.
with it.
Where
I'll admit it. Yes.
where are you? Do you want a spoiler?
No, no, I didn't
No.
get really too far into it,
Okay,
honestly.
that
Yeah.
was your homework. Okay. Anyhow, so how yeah, so the thing that I noticed there is like even I think it's a British content, but in even in US things have settled down after Trump, but all before him, it was like most of the things were like you woke culture and LGBTQI plus and fluid the gender fluidity and gender assignment and stuff like that. It was so chaotic. And how have you been navigating through, or how has that been? Or has it been a challenge in your home or the community around you? Or how did you go about it with your children? You're
I'm
not
s-
by you. I don't mean you yourself. I mean you as a representative of your community, Pakistan community
right.
that's living there.
I'm so happy you asked that question because yes, up at the top, Trump, number 47, he said it right off the bat that, okay, to me, there are only two genders, male and female, but that really doesn't change a lot. At grassroots level, it does not change a lot of things. On a state level, it does not change a lot of things. So states still maintain. Um, the way they want to conduct different policies, different details. Now, one thing that has happened is a lot of companies, in light of what Trump said, and even before that, November was when he won, when he became president-elect. And even before that, so many companies had started to do away with their DEI initiatives within their corporations. So that was one thing. Yes, maybe up at the top that got rejected, but on ground level, those things are still here.
Okay.
Coming back to my own way or how I navigated through this. So this was about 3 years ago, probably. And I was thinking my elder one was what, sixth grade. He started sixth grade, and I was like, okay, you know what? We're getting in some warm waters now, some very um, stormy waters now, where it's going to get bumpy. So I need to be ready for all kinds of questions and answers. What I did not realize that those questions will start coming as soon as he got into middle school. I was thinking maybe seventh grade, eighth grade, maybe when he was about to transition into ninth grade. But one fine day, we were just something where we were doing something, and he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" Like, "Yeah, sure, Ed, man. Go ahead, ask me a question." And he said, "What is gay?" Boom. I was like, "Okay." So I stopped what I was doing. Literally, I just stopped what I was doing. I was like, you know what? Thank you for asking that question. I really appreciate you asking me that question. He was in sixth grade, a few months into sixth grade. So these things were all coming to him now. Um, so I was like, you know what? You're going to be seeing this a lot. You're going to be hearing a lot about this. There are going to be a lot of conversations around you about it. You're going to be told so many things. You're going to be asked so many things. For now, what I'm going to tell you is a very simple answer. We will have more detailed discussions as you go through your school years on this. And the way I explained to him was that just like in the Quran, and we as Muslims, Allah Ta'ala has told us not to eat pork. There are so many different reasons for not eating pork, not consuming pork. So wherever you go, you see that we make sure that we're not eating pork, other than also halal meat and everything. But pork is something we are absolutely stopped from interacting with. So he was like, yes, I mean, I know that, yes. So I was like, you know what? So in the same manner, Allah has made this haram where guy with guy and girl with girl interaction, relationships is haram. Allah Ta'ala sent down Adam and Eve.
Mhm.
That is how Allah Ta'ala wanted human beings to be. That is how Allah Ta'ala made us. That is why this kind of relationship is the only relationship by virtue of us being Muslims is halal. Everything else is haram. For now, let's go with this. Because Allah has told us this is haram, we need to stay away from this, but you need to know this. Because when someone asks you, you're going to tell them that you are a Muslim and this is what you believe in.
Was he
So that was my,
satisfied with the answer?
yes. So to
Oh,
my surprise, he was like, okay, that's simple enough. I'm like, all right. And from there, we started having different conversations. Every week he would come back, and every week I would get hammered with a question was not expecting for next maybe 2 years. And these conversations I've been having for the last 3 years now.
and
And so many times,
did it come naturally to you, or were you like prepared once, like did you have in mind that if he asks you a question in future, you're gonna, refer it back to our religion because religion is coming to refute, and you explained to him beautifully. I think that's a wonderful explanation. Instead of just justifying scientifically in other ways, we don't practice such things because of course we're not allowed to.
yeah.
Uh,
So you can say it was the easiest way to answer that question then in that moment because of I wanted to keep things simple for him. That hey,
okay.
Allah has told us pork is haram. Allah has told us homosexuality is haram.
Mm.
Let's just stick to this. And then we've had discussions. We've had detailed discussions on this topic since then. So coming naturally, I grew up asking a lot of questions. My mom, I used to bug her a lot, but why I need to do this? And so many times, like so many of my peers, my cohort that grew up in that with that generation, they were not told why. They were just told this is how it needs to be done. So my thing right from their birth was, if they're going to ask me a question, I'm going to try to answer with a why because I want to have them have that satisfaction that, okay, there's someone who is not just ordering us to do something, but they're actually telling us why it is important. So that was a proactive approach. I had to really be very patient with because so many times still to date I don't know the answer, so I just pull up Google, I pull up YouTube, I pull up ChatGPT, and we look it up together. There's so many things still. So that also tells them that my father is only a human being. He's not perfect, he makes mistakes, but and he also doesn't know a lot, but he is willing to learn so that they also do the same thing. So it wasn't something that came to me naturally. Probably by virtue of my experience growing up, I wanted to have a better communication detail than I had in context of this is what it is, you need to do it, no questions asked.
It's a wonderful thing that you try to educate yourself. I mean, it's better if you do it before, but even if you're doing it with your child, you are creating a conducive environment for trust building, and he can always come up to you instead of going up to somebody who's of his own age and he's also experimenting or she's also experimenting, and they're both falling. So it's a lot better for parents to, it's okay. Don't shy away from these things. Of course, our religion has described so many things. अगर हम सिर्फ शरीयत की बात करें तो उसमें भी इतने सारे
Mhm.
अहकाम हैं जो कि ऑब्वियसली वो खुली हैं, लेकिन somehow हमारे कल्चर ने अच्छी बातों के ऊपर पर्दे डाल दिए हैं और जो बैड इन्फ्लुएंसेस हैं वो हम नहीं रोक सक रहे. So, and things have evolved so much because I remember when we were in like हम छोटे grades में थे, when there was this word gay was used as a synonym for happy. You remember?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
use it for happy as a synonym, but yeah, things and terminologies have changed so far. Okay, so that was one thing, but otherwise, how mindful were you to inculcate religious spirit into your children? मतलब हमारे मुस्लिम हाउस होल्ड में तो यही होता है कि बचपन से बस कुरान शुरू कर दिया. आई थिंक कि वहाँ पर कम्युनिटी सेंटर्स भी हैं, इस्लामिक सेंटर्स भी हैं जहाँ पर बच्चे जो हैं वो कुरान पढ़ते हैं. बहुत से लोग अब तो ऑनलाइन भी पढ़ते हैं. सो
Yep.
वाज दिस लाइक मतलब प्रैक्टिकली किस तरीके से लेके चलते हैं, स्पेशली पीपल हु आर लिविंग अब्रॉड, उनके मदर एंड फादर बोथ हैव टू वर्क एंड टाइमिंग्स बहुत डिफिकल्ट हैं. एटलीस्ट
Mhm.
बाहर के इन्वायरमेंट में कितना टाइम चाहिए पेरेंट्स को to be with their kids one on one in person. कितने टाइम कितने घंटे होना चाहिए to shield आजकल, मतलब I'm saying abroad but यहाँ के हालात भी बहुत खराब हैं. But anyhow, चूंकि environment बहुत ज़्यादा मैटर करती है, तो that's why I'm asking कि कितना कि क्या बैलेंस होना चाहिए पेरेंट्स का, अगर मदर फादर दोनों काम करें तो एटलीस्ट कितने कांटेक्ट आवर्स बच्चों के साथ होने चाहिए.
Really, it comes back to हम बचपन से सुनते आ रहे हैं ना कि जी quality matters over quantity. To a great extent, quantity matters, but the quality of it also does matter. घंटों में I wouldn't really want to put a clock on it
Okay.
क्योंकि जो जितना टाइम मैं गुजार रहा हूँ quantity and quality, maybe my friend, my brother is not spending as much time, but the quality of it is more. Maybe he's able to produce more quality with it, or maybe someone else is spending more time, but way less quality. So really goes back to the interaction, the way your lifestyle is. Yes, we have Islamic centers here. Yes, we have in-person Quran. We have masajid here. We have even Jummah. Today's Jummah. So one of my friends recently told me that they have Jummah at 4 o'clock, which now works perfectly for me now because I wrap up my work 3:30 and now on Fridays, and I get them ready. I'm in summer vacation, and we go for Jummah prayer. So for last few Fridays, that has become an absolutely amazing thing that now they've started looking forward to, and I've started looking forward to. So yes, we've got the ecosystem, or we've got the infrastructure now, mashallah, here in Texas, Dallas, so many Muslim centers. There's such a big community. So if someone wants to take advantage of those, it is very easy. Now, coming back to how I moved through this, I was a very non-religious person for the most part of my life. I mean, everyone who knows me knows that about me. I was the kind of person who'd be whistling all the time. I was the kind of person who'd be dropping F-bombs, I mean, countless times in a sentence, be it a happy face, angry face, sad face, a grumpy face.
Hmm.
I was the kind of person who would just be singing stuff along the hallways in my university. So everyone who knows me knows that about me. And I was very in your face about it. Okay. I don't care about this. I'll pray when I need to pray. I'll fast
Hmm.
when I need to fast, and so on and so forth.
It's a typical जुमला ना कि मेरा अल्लाह का मामला है. You
It
don't
was,
you don't
yes,
need to
it was.
interfere. Yeah.
It was. And a
गुस्सा
big
आता था
reason
कि
for,
क्यों कोई कोई आपको कह रहा है नमाज पढ़ो.
yes, big reason was exactly what you mentioned. In Pakistan, our reinforcement for religion is punishment oriented. What I've experienced here in is outside of Pakistan, also that some time I spent in Australia was outside of Pakistan, where there are proper scholars who are non-religious scholars as well as they are religious scholars. So they've got a very good understanding of both sides. What they propagate is, what they preach is you have to be able to look at the rewards more than you want to look at the punishment. Because if you are going to raise a generation by virtue of punishment, oh, if you're not going to do this, this is what's going to happen. If you're not going to pray Satra Rakat in Isha, you are doomed, man.
Hmm.
What I've seen here is the focus is on reward.
Hmm.
Even I was talking to someone about this last night. This one guy came to Huzur Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he said, I am going to say Shahada today. I have
Hmm.
one condition. Huzur
Hmm.
Pak asked him, what's the condition? All the Sahaba were there. He was like, I will only pray twice a day.
Hmm.
Everyone's jaw dropped.
Hmm.
So long story short, Huzur Pak said, okay. He took Shahada, he went away, and all the Sahaba were like, Huzur Pak, oh, what happened here? Did we miss a memo here? He was like, no, if I had told him that he has to pray 5 times a day, he would never say Shahada. Now that he has said Shahada, Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala will bring him to five
Iman.
times a day.
Yeah.
So our focus is 17 rakat, 12 rakat, 19 rakat, all these. Instead, we start saying and doing, you know what? Start with one namaz a day. Maybe start with first, and then you will see the progression. And I have seen that with myself, to be honest. My own transition, there was only one namaz I always used to pray. That was Fajr. I
Hmm.
just somehow found it easiest to pray Fajr because I was a morning person.
Hmm.
So I stuck with it.
अक्सर लोगों को फजर सबसे मुश्किल लगती है.
Yes. So being a morning person, my dad was in the army. He would get up early, so I would
Hmm.
get up
Hmm.
early. Also, I started waking up around 5 o'clock because I wanted to watch cricket in Australia.
Hmm.
So the time difference helped me. So I was always
Hmm.
in that habit. So that helped me. And that philosophy, when I came here, I started seeing this. So my transition was, man, this is actually easier than what I've seen for first 30 years of my life. So it
Hmm.
was very hard
Hmm.
for me, but I was able to translate and transform my way of doing things. So coming back to the community, you have all the resources here. It goes back to the individual and then the quality of time that you're spending. So one thing I try doing now is with the kids, both had their amins. The elder one had his amin a few years ago. The younger one just a couple of weeks ago. I did not have any Qari Saab or Imam Saab there because in last 2, 3 years, I have started to read into religion, into tafsir of Quran, into the direct source of what we need to get back to. And what I realized was, unless there is something that actually needs an imam, or
Hmm.
needs a qari, or needs a
Hmm.
mufti, or needs someone of a stipulated level, I need to be able to do these things myself. Two reasons for that. One, I need to know what these things are. I need to
Hmm.
be able to demonstrate what this is for my own learning. And second, more important reason, I want my kids to see that, okay, if our dad can do this, if our dad can learn at this age things that he never did, there's no reason for us to not do it. Now, doing it without an expectation that, hey, if I'm doing this, you need to do it too. No, I try not to do that. I only try to do it in front of them so that hopefully one day they will be able to look back at this. And inshallah, I plan on doing more things with them. Let's say, inshallah, when they get married, they have their nikahs. I plan on doing that to myself. And so many other things I plan on doing myself because I want them to see how easy our religion is, as opposed to how difficult it is made
Mm-hmm.
back in Pakistan. So, really, it was a very long answer, but I really wanted to make sure I give you full spectrum of my thought on this.
Okay, there are a couple of things like initially, like what you were mentioning rightly, that ज्यादातर हमारा जो emphasis होता है वो डराने पे या खौफ पे होता है. लेकिन I think when we talk about behavior modification and when I've started studying about behavior, so everybody behaves differently, right?
Hmm.
Some people are more prone to rewards. Some people are more into action through punishment. So obviously a person to person varies. उसका हर बंदे का behavior, उसका environment vary करता है. ईमान की जहाँ तक बात है तो इस्लाम में कहा जाता है कि ईमान जो है ना वो खौफ और रिजा के बीच में है, यानी उम्मीद और खौफ के बीच में है. So there has to be a balance between punishment as well as reward. लेकिन
Hmm.
मुझे जहाँ तक मुझे पर्सनली जो चीज़ बहुत अपील करती है वो अल्लाह की मोहब्बत, अल्लाह का कुर्ब. हम अपने पेरेंट्स से, अपने सिबलिंग्स से, अपने वतन से कितना पेट्रियोटिज्म मत बच्चे को उस तरह इनकलकेट करते हैं ना चीज़ें. पेरेंट्स की मोहब्बत, फैमिली की मोहब्बत, बहन भाइयों की मोहब्बत, लेकिन अल्लाह ताला से मोहब्बत भी इनकलकेट पेरेंट्स को आई थिंक करना चाहिए. द वे यू वर सेइंग अबाउट दीज थिंग्स. ओके, एक और पॉइंट जो जहाँ पर मैं थोड़ा सा डिफर करती हूँ, बट ऑब्वियसली इट्स अ पर्सनल जर्नी एंड पर्सनल एवोल्यूशन, everybody learns that way, is to have a teacher. Like you said, like you've started learning into it, and you're waiting till the time that something needs interpretation or something needs. I hope you don't pick up a book of surgery and tomorrow decides to operate on a person. So I think there should be a teacher, because obviously, first of all, हम थोड़ा सा अपना अपना अपनी IQ, अपने EQ, उसको हम लोग बहुत ज्यादा वो करते हैं. बट आई थिंक इट्स अ पर्सनल जर्नी. Starting उस तरह हो सकती है, but it never hurts to have to know about the opinion and ask for help. In medicine, we always
True.
say ask for help. So I think there is a sea of literature, there is a sea of wisdom out there, and it's just that कि हमने बाज़ दफ़ा अपनी आंखें बंद की होती हैं. Okay, Umair, teenage is the age when, in most children, most teens think their peers are cooler than their parents. So, how do you tackle that mindset?
I
It's a
mean, we used to think that way also.
typical rebellious teen, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, circle of life, we used to think that way also. And going back to what I said, now I try to place myself when I was where he is right now. And I try now to, when I talk to him, especially the elder one, who's a teen now, to be very not pushy. Now, when there are things where, like you mentioned, in terms of religion, there are certain things that need to be told from a fear perspective. There are certain things that need to be told from a reward perspective. So, with the exception of those things, I try to have a conversation in an open-ended style. Even the frequency of my closed-ended questions has gone down way more than it already was growing up, or even before parenthood. But what I've realized is the more I am going to have a conversation with him as a man to man, human to human, as opposed to just father and son, it's going to be easy for me. Now, there are going to be times where we're going to have that conversation as father and son.
Mhm.
Um, those times do come,
But
and
he's
at
not
those
used to
times,
it. Like you said, you don't talk to him like that. So once he's not used to
exactly.
it, he's gonna have, don't you think it's gonna have a, rebuttal that,
Well,
how are
used
you a dad all of a sudden? You used to
used
be my
to
friend.
used to father and son thing. No, so
Yeah.
growing up, as I mentioned, I've had to evolve myself. So early 4 or 5 years growing up. as I was growing up, as I had seen things very disciplined, very military style stuff, regimented stuff. So I had to already evolve myself into different details, a very not softer approach. So I try to use the same philosophy. Yes, there are conversations where it is okay. So this we need to have a very serious talk about because this is something that you need to do this. You want to be concerned about these things, not because what other people are going to say, but how this impacts your life. Uh, and then there are things where I now try to have a conversation. Okay, let's sit down, let's talk man to man. Let's
Mm,
see what the deal is.
mm,
Because you absolutely have to be able to transition back and forth. Because yes, there's going to be confusion. Okay, are you talking to me as a friend or are you talking to me as a father? This realization has to always be there that I'm talking to my father. I
mm,
am very frank with him. I can be very open with him. There's nothing I should not be able to hide from him. And this is something I've told them from the get-go. Like
mm,
our father used to tell us, okay, hey, I mean, he used to say, Barkhordar, अगर कोई मसला हो ना तो मुझे आप लोगों ने बताना है क्योंकि अगर मुझे नहीं बताओगे तो मैं उस मसले का हल नहीं निकाल सकता. These were used to his words.
mm,
So I tell them the same thing. If there
mm,
is a problem, and if you expect me to take care of the problem, if
mm,
you get stuck, I need to know because unless I understand or know what the problem is, I will not be able to figure it out.
mm,
Eventually, I might be able to, but it might be too late. And another thing I keep telling them, uh, the father perspective is
mm,
unless, and I've mentioned this to them with the disclaimer, with the asterisk that, hey, everyone has to die one day, right?
mm, mm,
So unless I'm dead, you
mm,
are not going to see me not standing behind you ever in life.
mm,
No matter what happens, if there is a problem, you come to me, you tell me this is what happened, and we will
mm,
find a way. Because what I have seen, as many times as I reinforce this thought, there is this spark in their eyes. The younger
mm,
one and the elder one, no matter how serious a conversation we're having, terrible grades, maybe he got into a fight, when the conversation goes here, hey,
mm,
I'm going to be standing right behind you
mm.
no matter what happens. That reinforcement just really takes care of everything. And that's really
How
what they want.
how easy it is to be on the same line of mother and father in your philosophy. What you're saying is a wonderful way. But like इस तरह होता है ना कि बाज़ दफ़ा माँ उस तरह नहीं होती like you're always standing behind your kids. लेकिन अगर मदर थोड़ी सी डिसिप्लिनेरियन है और वो नहीं उस तरह करती है तो मदर बेचारी जो है वो एक विलन बन जाती है बच्चों की नज़र में. So how इसको कैसे चैलेंज इसको बैलेंस कैसे करते हैं? And in extension to this question कि इज्जत कैसे करवाते हैं, रिस्पेक्ट का लेवल कैसे आता है? बिकॉज मैंने दो पोलराइजेशंस देखी हैं. एक तो पुराने जमाने की थी कि वो इतना इतना डर था कि वो सांस निकल रहा है, माँ बाप से बात ही नहीं हो रही है, और उसकी वजह से वो छुपते छुपते ही बहुत सी काम हो जाते, काम पूरे होते हैं लेकिन ये कि माँ बाप से बात नहीं हो सकती. और एक ये लेवल आ गया कि इतनी दोस्ती, इतनी फ्रैंकनेस कि माँ बाप की वो इज्जत ही नहीं है, जहाँ हालांकि मेरा ख्याल है कि हर रिश्ते में एक हिजाब होता है, एक इज्जत होती है. सो
Mhm.
इतनी दोस्ती के होते हुए भी इज्जत कैसे, रिस्पेक्ट लेवल कैसे मेंटेन रखते हैं?
See, respect comes with credibility. Credibility comes with actions. And actions only happen when you mean to follow through on what you're saying because you have unconditional feelings of support, love, and wanting to see them become better
Hmm.
person than you ever were. So
Yeah.
it's a cycle. It does
Hmm.
not happen just one day you wake up and respect is there. Be it a relationship between father and son, or colleagues, or CEO and janitor, or whoever,
Hmm.
whichever relationship you take in the world, this is the cycle. I will not be able to walk into a room and command respect unless people in the room have known me. They have seen what I do. They have seen that I follow through on my words. They have seen my actions and they recognize me. Oh, this is Umair. Whatever he says, he does it. Only then I will command that respect. So respect comes with credibility, and credibility comes with people knowing that you will follow through on your actions, be it positive reinforcement reward actions, or be it positive slash negative accountability slash punishment actions. Because going back to what you just said, respect and fear, very fine line between the two.
Mm.
I was of the view, maybe first 3, 4 years of my elder one's life, that no, 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 I'm going to do things this way. But when he started growing and when I started seeing other kids, other parents, I had to really mend my ways. I am such a different father in last 3, 4 years than I was prior because I had seen, and I did not want to go down that road where he would just stand up. There are days where he gets frustrated, where he doesn't want to talk. The other day, we were at a restaurant and my mom, dad were
Hormones
also
भी तो है
there.
ना, teenage hormones भी तो होते हैं, हाँ.
Hormones, yes.
Yeah.
And something happened. He had an argument with his younger cousin, who's about what, 7, 8 years younger to him. And that younger cousin was kind of teasing him. So he just
Hmm.
kind of got flustered
Hmm.
and he just kind of got in a bad mood. So Begum, she tried to say something to him that, okay, it's okay, man, calm down. And then my dad was watching everything. My mom was like, okay, she just signaled to me, why don't you take him outside and talk to him? I was like, no, not right now. Right now
Hmm.
is not the time because I saw myself going back in time that what would happen when someone would want to talk to me at this point. I would get really frustrated and angry. And I once I tried to put my hand on his hand, I was across the table. Hey, Adam, it's okay, breathe. And he wanted to just be alone. So I told my mom, I mean, I signal, not right now. I
Hmm.
will, maybe in about 30 minutes. So you've got to be able to read the room, read the situation. And that is where you have to play the discipline versus the respect. Again, as you go through different situations,
Hmm.
respect will come. If they
Hmm.
know that their parents are going to be there, one, and two, the parents have certain standards, not
Hmm.
for people, not for
Hmm.
comparison with their cousins or their neighbors, but
Hmm.
for the sake of them getting better, they will have that understanding. And this is not to say I'm a perfect parent. I'm no way in
Hmm.
hell I'm close to being perfect. It
Hmm.
is such a learning roller coaster that I'm just learning things every day. So I just
Hmm.
try to take note of those things.
Omer, Army usually excels at different tasks because there's unity of command, right? How much
Mhm.
of a believer you are in unity of command, that man of the house, like you are the father. So, what's your take on disciplining the mother, like the wife, as well as the kids? Do you have a clear say on it, or just because, in the West things are really muddled and it's like women and men, there's a whole saga around the man and wife and, the responsibilities and chores and all that, and parenting becomes really difficult. Whereas I believe, the army style, that you need to have some job descriptions to get things done the right way. So
Right.
what's your take on that?
So there are multiple ways you can look at it. Army forces, it's a very order-oriented thing. Even when someone's going to ask a very common sense why, you're not going to get an answer because I just told you so. Your job is
Yeah.
to obey the orders. My job is to give the orders. You do it. No questions asked. You want to ask
Hmm.
questions, go sell mitai. That's
Hmm.
it. So that is a very different way of doing things. Uh, Talking about West, you're going to see this mindset, very conservative or typical family folks, even white folks, African American folks, Hispanics, they've got this style here also. I'm the man of the house, I'm the breadwinner, where mostly females don't work and they invest their time, they invest their resources, their existence in terms of taking care of the kids and the family in the house. So you see that. Absolutely. Then there are also the other side of the coin where both partners are working, but both partners are equally responsible for different things. There's role clarity. So how we do things, there are certain things, school stuff. I'll let my wife take care of. Um, by virtue of I've been here, what, for now 15 years? She's been here since childhood,
Hmm.
almost. So
Hmm.
she understands so many of those different situations and systems way better than I could ever. So there are things, doctors, dentists, your schooling, so many of these things she takes care of. Of course, I'm not really concerned. Okay, what do you guys want to eat? Whatever kids want to eat, I'll eat that. Ask them, I'll eat that. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Hmm.
Um, the only thing I can do is cook. I take care of dishes. So when we talk about role clarity, uh, being head of the household, it is important. It is also important to have that come from both sides. That, okay, guys, this thing, there are certain things she sends kids to me. Okay, you need to ask your dad about it.
Hmm.
But then there are certain things. Okay, where do you want to go for vacation? Ask your mom. You guys decide. I'm okay. I just want to go. We'll book the tickets. So yes, it is important.
I'll just
Not for
spend.
this,
I'll
not
pamper you. Just spend.
yeah, not just for the sake of having head of the household. It has to be there to be able to have a functioning and evolving children and parents. That should be the purpose, not
Hmm.
just because we have to have a head of household, we're going to have a head of household, because so many times there is a figurehead, but there is no leadership there. So what's the
Hmm.
point of having a head of the
Hmm.
household when someone's not going to listen to the head of household? So
Hmm.
it really depends on the family, what the dynamics are, the age group of the kids, and the personalities of the partners also. That has a lot to do with it
I
too.
think you said it, you gave it away the very first time, like you said, it doesn't happen all of a sudden. It's just you just the way you did it from the very beginning. I think it should be starting before even the couple conceives the child. There should be a planning. Where we lack as a community, as a whole, as a generation, is we don't plan things, but just happen
Mhm.
like बस हुई जा रही हैं. कोई प्लानिंग ही नहीं, किसी चीज की प्लानिंग ही नहीं है, खुद से हो रही है, हादसाती तौर पे चीजें हो रही हैं, शादियां हो रही हैं, हफ्ते हो रही हैं, बच्चे हो रहे हैं.
But you see, and this I learned recent times, we plan, but how many times our plans just fall out? How many times
Yeah.
what we have planned does not go according to plan because there's someone else planning
Yes,
and
yes,
that plan is way
yes,
better. So
yes.
yes, we can have those intentions that okay, you know what? This is let's make this thing. Let's see how far we can go. Because another thing is, and I've learned this, yes, raised as an army kid,
Hmm.
uh, becoming an adult as an army kid who was raised within an army ecosystem, I was very rigid, very black and white.
Hmm.
My time with radio, my time with education and outside Pakistan kind of changed me. Then I spent some time in the retail industry, so that really evolved me, introduced me to gray in life. So there is so much, as much as we want a structure, we want to have a plan, we want to have a timeline. Control, plan, timeline is an illusion we can never get out of. So while it is very important to have an understanding of roadmap, this is how we want to progress in life. We always need to be ready that this is not always how we're going to progress in life. And that is where the couple has to have that understanding that, okay, when we hit a bump, when shit hits the fan,
Hmm.
how are we going to respond? Because
Hmm.
95% of the times, we're not going to need to have that clarity. It is
Hmm.
that 5% of the times
Yes.
that we need that clarity because if we don't have that clarity, then the airplane crashes, then
Hmm.
everything is gone. So
Hmm.
it's very important that planning, that execution, that fire drill mechanism that we plan for, worst case scenario, that is for which couples and families need to be prepared for because everything else can work seamlessly. It is when everything starts falling apart is how the quote unquote head of the household, the wife of the household, the spouse of the household responds, be it financial, physical, mental, emotional, psychological, leader, whatever way you want to say. So that is what it all comes down to, based on big asterisk. my experiences I have seen through.
Hmm. Umair, I think that is where we are very fortunate as being Muslims because that is where Aqidah comes in. Like you said, na,
Hmm.
कि plan hai, they plan and Allah plans, and indeed Allah is the best of planners. So, हाँ, हमें कहा गया है काम करो, उसके बाद तवक्कुल करो. तवक्कुल यही नहीं कि काम करो, प्लान करो. But अगर खैर और शर का जब तक अकीदा नहीं होता, तो you look at people who don't have any force to fall on to. तो लोग कितने डीप डिप्रेशंस में चले जाते हैं, कितनी सुसाइडल हो जाते हैं जस्ट बिकॉज दे डोंट सी एनीथिंग. उनको बैकअप सपोर्ट नहीं नजर आती है, अपनी प्लान्स जो उनके फेल हो जाते हैं. कितनी बड़ी बड़ी
Hmm.
एस्पिरेशंस होती हैं. सो आई थिंक बीइंग मुस्लिम्स वी आर सो फॉर्चुनेट अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कि अल्लाह ताला ने हमें एक चीज दी हुई है, एक पॉजिटिविटी दी हुई है, प्लानिंग बताई हुई है, काम का बताया हुआ है, लेकिन खैर शर का और कदर का बताया है, तकदीर का बताया है. और आई थिंक दैट्स वन ऑफ द बेस्ट ब्लेसिंग्स of being a Muslims, that you can
Absolutely.
always
Yeah.
fall onto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. हर चीज
Yep.
अपनी हर टेंशन अल्लाह के ऊपर रखते हैं और फिर सुकून से इंसान सो जाते हैं.
And that is something we, I think, our leaders, cultural leaders, religious leaders in Pakistan, they fail to understand कि ये चीज आप बच्चों में, आप अपने यूथ में जबरदस्ती, you cannot punch it in. No, unless and until someone goes through this, you can keep mentioning it like that drop of water that continues dripping.
Yeah.
You can continue mentioning it, but unless and until someone experiences this, someone experiences the power of that belief
Hmm.
in something, and then they see as a human, that is when the light bulb goes on. So it's very important that we as parents, we as leaders, we as adults in the society, in the community, we show this that, okay, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, just like I tell my kids, you need not be afraid of anyone
Hmm.
but
But
Allah
Allah
Tabaraka wa
subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Ta'ala. I would want you to respect your mother. I want you to respect me. When it comes to being afraid, I want you only being afraid of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now, don't do something wrong because your dad's going to get angry. No,
Hmm.
don't do something wrong
Hmm.
because what Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is going to say about it. Because one day we're going to be standing in front of him. You're not
Hmm.
going to be answerable to me, bro. You're going to be answerable to him. I'm going to
Hmm.
have to deal with my own shit. Okay? Your
Hmm.
mom's going to have to be answerable for her stuff. You
Hmm.
will be answerable for your things. So you better care about what you're going to say to him on that day, which, and I recently started telling them, the day that will make young babies old. That's how long that day is going to be. So that is what we want to tell our kids, that our compass, our Qibla, needs to be that direct connection with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Everyone else, your parents, they are those chaperones through that journey because you can have that relation and we are here to guide you. And so many times you're going to teach us stuff.
Hmm.
So exactly what you said, as long as we have that North Star in form of Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala and Quran and Sunnah, we're not going to get wrong. We learn it later in life, but to always reinforce that in front of them, maybe just doing things in front of them, not pushing them to do it every single time I'm going to do it. No, that's just going to make them run away. So you want to have them see that, okay, my dad is doing something. Why does he do it? Oh, you know what? Let me ask him. And maybe there's going to be a time that they're going to start doing it, and then you're going to have a smile on your face, which I've seen so many times, those moments where I haven't even asked them something. And just because myself or Begum was doing something, they started doing it. We didn't even have to ask them. And there is no better feeling than that. So
Hmm.
knowing that if we're going to follow that track that Allah has mentioned to us, we are very faulty Muslims, very broken Muslims. I'll be the first one to admit myself. But if we continue on that track, then
Hmm.
Allah is going to make things easy. That's it.
Inshallah, inshallah. There are so many questions still, and I think, there's a whole sea of questions and topics to discuss when it comes to parenting, and especially mindful parenting and faith-induced or faith-inclined, faith-based mindful parenting. But just last question before we go, because we have
Mhm.
to wind up. How old is your eldest?
14.
14, okay. So I have many clients in US and especially in Texas, and there's a big Muslim community in Texas, and most of my clients are female. So yeah, many families are looking for, the prospective rishtas. So how soon is there any chatter in the household about when are the kids gonna get married? Because what I've learned from my one of my clients' mother was like कि लड़का अगर 25 नहीं 26 27 साल से ज्यादा की उम्र का ना, इसका मतलब है कुछ गड़बड़ है। जो अच्छे
Hmm.
बच्चे अच्छे लड़के होते हैं वो 23 24 25 साल में दे गेट हुक्ड। आई मीन ये रिश्ते की बात हो रही थी। सो आई वाज आई मीन आई डिडंट नो दिस थिंग राइट कि
Right.
बाहर भी ऐसे सोचा जाता है। सो वो टेक्सास की मैं बात कर रही हूँ। सो आपके घर में क्या चैटर है इस बारे में? अभी तो सिर्फ 14 साल की है, छोटा उससे छोटा है
Yeah.
लेकिन
I
बट
mean,
स्टिल।
chatter is very simple. That yes, we do have those conversations, uh, especially conversations in regards to not with the kids directly, but in the adults group. That hey, it's going to be worrisome if they don't talk about girls.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's going to be a problem. So it's okay if they're talking about girls. Okay,
Yeah.
and they have friends who are girls. So
Yeah.
in terms of marriage, the conversations that we've had so far is that if you are working, even if it is a basic job, you can take care of your expenses, you can take care of the expenses of one more person. And even if you have, say, you're renting an apartment,
Hmm.
you get married. You can get married if you like someone, you come to us and we will take care of it. We will go, we will see if you want to get married to that person, fine. But you have to be able to be working. You have to
Hmm.
be employed. This will not happen that you're not working and you come home and say, "Oh, I want to get married." You want to be practical. How are you going to take care of your bills? What if life happens and you have to spend time somewhere? Well, what are you going to do? So we haven't had that many conversations, but a few conversations, though the integral thing there is you need to be working. You need to be able to take care of your expenses because when you're going to bring another person into your life, you're going to be fully responsible for that
Responsible.
person and what
Hmm.
that person needs.
Hmm.
Safety, food, shelter, protection,
Hmm.
probably entertainment, depending on your lifestyle. So you cannot just marry a person and then just tell that person, "Oh, sorry, my bad." So those are the conversations so far, but we'll see how it evolves
I
and
have
how things go
many
from there.
I have many tangent questions emanating from your answer, but time is short. Inshallah, I think that's a food for thought for the next episode if we talk about it. I think we can
Absolutely.
have a full episode on just that thing, how soon one should get married. Yeah, I think that would be,
Absolutely.
yeah, that would be a good topic. Anyhow, thank you so much for coming and being part of this show, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I am so happy to see you mature and such a wonderful dad. And yeah, all the best for your fatherhood, and I hope that you get to see all the blessings that your children bring back home. Take care.
Absolutely. Inshallah. Thank you very much. Thank you
Well,
for having me.
Assalamu
Allah
alaikum.
Hafiz.
Be amanillah.